Chairwoman, could I ask you, sir, what do you go back to the RFS? What do you see as the purpose of RFS? Its policy purpose?
Well, I would say it's multifaceted. From our perspective, is you obviously get the energy security goal of displacing petroleum with with renewable fuel. In our case, that would be biodiesel, and increasing the amounts that you're getting on that side as well. Another stated goal of it is to have not only you're displacing petroleum, but you're addressing the whole issue of climate change as well.
With that in mind, with what you said and your concerns, are you all right with the life cycle cost approach of it?
Well,
is that what your problem was with the life cycle cost? Or is it the discount rate that they're trying to use?
It relates more to the whole idea of indirect land use changes, and here's what what our specific concern is.
In short, you don't do soybeans. Somebody else is going to do soybeans, and you have to take that cost in.
Well, yeah, the idea that that U.S. agriculture, in particular, that has been pretty stable and is extremely sustainable, is somehow attributed with having deforestation in South America, for example.
But if the goal, as you said, is climate, shouldn't we take that into account?
We should take.
Up until now, ethanol has by and large not been performance-based criteria. The more you build, the more subsidy you get. I was taken with RFS because it's the first time we've had a performance-based criteria. Mm-hmm. But part of that performance-based criteria is climate change.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So why not take in indirect land use?
We don't have an issue with taking into consideration indirect. By statute, you have to. In the RFS, it says that you have to account for significant indirect land use changes.
But your problem is
our issue relates to the science of it. Right now, we know how to measure direct emissions.
Right.
We have a GREET model that's been out there for 10 years now, and that model has been refined over time to show a pretty definitive result across the board. The science of indirect land use change is so inexact right now that you could really put some false attributes on some fuels that aren't accurate. As a matter of fact, the Europeans, in their renewables directive, took a close look at this issue, and they decided just to push it down the road in terms of having to do the indirect land use change calculations. We have no problem with that because we think at the end of the day that you're going to have a positive attribute, and we're not going to have a negative impact on it. But what we do have an issue with is a science that's very undefined, unreliable, and inexact at this moment, attributing something negative to a biofuel that's really not there.
Yeah, it kind of looked at the RFS. It's not a cap and trade. It's more of a floor and trade. But my question, I guess, then is, what did you think about the discount rate and trying to trade off bad action today for bad action in the future?
We're not sure. We haven't seen the rule yet in terms of what we're talking about. They had a stakeholder briefing, EPA, with various groups. We haven't seen what they're going to do on the discount rate. By statute, you're going to have to be compared to our fuel is going to be compared to 2005 emissions associated with diesel fuel, and we're just going to have to play in the statute.
I agree. Yes, sir.
Could I just add a comment about the land use issue?
She's real tough on my time.
No,
go ahead.
No, that's all right. Well,
I'm only kidding.
Just simply that in corn production, our production is not static, and it never has been. If you go back historically, we have about a 2% growth rate in corn production per acre per year. So in other words, we can meet the growing demand for corn without adding a lot of additional acres. And that is a key that I think a lot of fundamental of this research that is being left out of the picture in the equation that needs to be really considered. In fact, if you look at the tech providers in producing seed corn today, they say that we're even going to accelerate the rate of that growth because of the technology going into seed. So that goes to the science and the accuracy of the formulas they use in land use.
No, it's a good point. The reason I asked is I've always kind of felt that as valuable as ethanol and all, particularly now as we get into advanced fuels, are that the lack of having a performance-based criteria. Well, although it helped economically, we really it was just about build more, you get more. It wasn't about trying to, does one of your plants use coal or natural gas? There's a difference. and you get the same tax subsidies for both. I'm not sure and so that's why I was taken with RFS, but I understand it's the science of the ones that you have, not the concept.
Time
Thank you.
expired.